Ladies and gentlemen, we've just pulled this radial engine apart, taken the front cover off, and you can actually see, all of the connecting rods, the master rod, basically all the pistons, the crankshaft, it's all here, folks. So it turns out I've just spent all that effort ripping this engine apart when I might not have needed to after all. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I thought I'd take a look at Plane Mechanics Simulator today once again. This is, I guess you can call this episode 2. I did look at this recently on the channel as well in a bit of a first look video. This game is not new by any stretch, but it was recently, I guess, released as a version 1 in February of this year, and another developer I think took it over and kind of spruced it up a bit and made it a little bit closer to what one would expect to be a nice game, I guess. And I must say I've been enjoying it a little bit so far, so I thought why not get back into it today. And I've got the old Bristol Blenheim here from the last mission, from the last video, and I'll go ahead and just choose the airfield and not this hangar this time. So I'm just going to go ahead and just make sure airfield is selected, and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll just go ahead and start game, and we'll see what the actual game holds for us this time, shall we? Right, so here we are, back in the game once again. So yes, this is the Bristol Blenheim, the same serial number. It's good old Georgie boy once again, George Martel, back with his old Bristol Blenheim. And we did have a quick look at the problem at the end of the last video, I should say. And I'll put a card up above if you haven't checked out the first look video just yet, so go ahead and check that out if you want. But yes, we kind of left off here. So we've got problems with both engines, okay, this time. The left engine has a problem starting, and the right engine has a howling noise coming from it while it's running. So maybe that could be some sort of bearing issue or something like that. But just before we start, I thought I'd take a little bit of a look around and just admire the landscape and the scenery here. We are outside, we're not in the hangar this time, and I think I prefer the outside here a little bit more than the hangar somehow. It's just a little bit more, I don't know, the graphics seem better as well, and there's actually planes flying around. You can hear them, you can actually see them as well. And you've got the old standby here, you've got the fuel, the ladder, and the oiling cart, all that sort of stuff's all out here as well, the jacks and the workbench and all that kind of stuff, the spare parts truck. Anyway, let's go ahead and start off with the left engine here. So there's a problem starting the left engine. So I'm going to go ahead and just tackle this right now. And we'll just make sure we're in disassembly mode, which we are. And I'm just going to go ahead and start with the propeller. So we'll go ahead and just get... we've got old Mr. No here telling us if we've clicked a part in the wrong order, it'll just say no. But anyway, we'll just... skip past all that, take the propeller off, okay, and just see where we're at here. Okay, now it's at this point where I'm actually just thinking, I really don't think this is actually a mechanical issue. So I'm actually going to just pause here and just see if we can't take the left and right hand, well, just all the engine covers off the side of the engine, because this being a radial engine, as you can see here, there's like an accessory drive at the back of the engine. So I'm thinking if the engine can't start, maybe it's some sort of ignition system issue, or maybe fuel pump, something like that, I guess. So if we take these engine covers off, maybe I can actually go ahead and just inspect and just see, maybe it is actually just the spark plug wires or something like that. We'll have a bit of a look. If I can get to the accessory drive behind the engine, maybe we can look at the fuel pump, if there is one modeled in the game, that is. This is handy. You can just quickly just pop this cover off like this. Oh, that's very fast. That's excellent. Okay, so let's have a bit of a look-see. Doesn't look like we can actually... Oh, this is modeled very nicely though. I'm just going to start checking a few little bits and pieces around the engine here. I'm just in diagnostic mode here, and really what I want to do is just have a look at maybe the spark plugs and the spark plug wires as well. But of course, being a radial engine, I'm going to need to just take all these covers out. So let's just do this before we go any further. This could well just be an ignition issue. Maybe a worn spark plug is causing the engine to just not want to start properly. So how come this is not coming? Oh, there we go. There's 4 bolts there, another 4 bolts here. Excellent. Okay, very good. So I've got access here to the bottom of the engine, and looks like I've got the turbocharger up there as well. Whoops. I really don't think it's the turbocharger that's the problem with the starting here. Alright, let's take this cover off as well. Oops, what's going on here? What's going on? Come on. Sorry folks, this can get a little bit, this camera gets a bit annoying sometimes. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit of a while because it's a radial engine, and I do have a newfound kind of appreciation for those old-time World War II radial engine mechanics, these aircraft mechanics. They really had a job on their hands servicing these engines, because I tell you, having to do the same thing over and over again like this on a 9-cylinder engine. I'm just going to take this cover off here as well. This looks like it's actually the oil cap, but I don't think we'll find what we're looking for there. I really want to just try and get behind the cowling here to the accessory drive, but I don't think that's possible somehow, which is a bit of a shame, because I thought maybe it could be the carburetor or something like the fuel pump or something like that, you know. Maybe there's a block of Venturi in the carburetor, who knows, but it doesn't look like we can actually get back there, which is a shame. It looks like we've only really got access to the side and front of the engine, so I really doubt it's a mechanical issue with anything like the push rods or anything like that. So I'm really loath to start taking apart the mechanical aspect of the engine itself. I really just want to focus on the fuel and the spark here, because even having said that, I'm checking some of the mechanical aspects, but they all just show up in green, so they're all pristine apparently. So anyway, let me see, cowl flaps down here, can't actually take them off either. Looks like we've got the oil tank back here up in the wheel well, but can't take anything apart there. Yeah, it just seems like we don't have access to the rear of the engine, the accessory drive whatsoever, so there's no point trying to come back here, I think. I'm probably just going to have to see...
No. Nope.
Nope. Yeah, that's exactly right. Nope. Okay. Alright, you know what? I'm just going to proceed going from the front, I think. So let's just... I'm going to try and... let's take this engine cover out. This is going to take a little while, and then once I've done that, I'm just going to continue going into the bowels of the engine from the front. Maybe there's a problem with the gears inside the engine, the timing gears and stuff like that. So let's have a look there, shall we? And I'll catch up with you in just a sec. Right, well, I've taken most of the front of the engine off, as you can see here, and I'm just checking the some of the timing gear and whatnot, and that all looks fine as well. So
No.
Alright, anyway, let's take this cowling off and look at the next steps here, I guess. And I must say, they've done a really good job on the actual modeling of this engine. I must say, it looks a treat. This thing just looks perfect. Aircraft model itself, it's alright, but the engine and all the mechanical parts are they're really done well, I must say. Okay folks, so here's the story. If we try and take the central part of the engine apart and go further into the depths of the engine, we're going to have to take all the valve train off from every single cylinder. So that's 9 cylinders times
No, sir.
4 valves each, all the push rods and whatnot that goes along with that as well. So just giving you a bit of an idea of what that entails. Looks like I'm going to have to take the rocker box off and then basically multiply that by 9 cylinders. So let's just have a quick look, but I don't think I'm going to go too much further here, because it's going to take absolutely forever. And once again, I really am not convinced that this is a mechanical issue. So if I check the cylinders, they all look fine. You know what I'm going to do? Now that I've got all the cowling off, I'm just going to continue checking all the ignition. And
No.
yeah,
No.
this part here, unfortunately, we cannot take off until we take the rest of the engine apart. So I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do though is I'm just going to go ahead, like I said just now, and I'm going to check the ignition part. So all of these spark plugs, all of the spark plug cables, this is going to be a bit of a tedious thing as well, but it's nowhere near as difficult as taking everything apart, that's for sure. Just doing a quick diagnostic here, working my way around the engine, and I'll try and get green, or any red will show up as well if there's a damaged part with any of the ignition parts here. So let's just focus on the simple stuff first, shall we? Oops, got the air intake there by accident. Spark plug cable. I'm just going to do all these spark plug cables. So I'll check back in with you in a little while because there's 2 spark plugs per cylinder for redundancy with these aircraft engines. And it looks like there's 4 valves per cylinder as well, but not touching the valve train or anything like that. I'm just going to do the spark plugs and the spark plug cables, make sure ignition's fine, and then if that still checks out, then yeah, we'll have to just work out where we're going from there, I guess. Right, well, I've gone ahead and just checked pretty much all the cylinders, just a bit of a diagnostic on all of the cylinders, the front engine cover. I haven't checked all the push rods, but I've checked all the ignition parts, so pretty much all of the cables here, all of the spark plugs, and they all check out just fine. So I'm really not convinced it's a mechanical issue. I really don't want to go further into the depths of this engine because it's going to be very laborious, and I can't get behind the engine either. So yeah, really, what are we left with? I'd love to get behind the engine, but I can't. So really, I guess I'm just forced to continue on forward and just take this engine cover off, unfortunately. And that's going to mean, yeah, the more I think about it, I'm just going to have to take all the entire valve train off the entire engine and just take everything apart and take that engine cover out, that central hub, and just see what's going on inside there. Maybe there's some sort of issue with the engine internals. I don't know how that would be, but just to give you an example of how all this stuff kind of comes apart, I'm not going to let you all sit through the entire thing, but I'm going to do this another 8 times, unfortunately. Just taking the push rods and the valve train out here, the rocker box as it's called. There we go. Just take these push rods out, and then you've got down here these 2 cam follower little base plates, I guess, and then these come off. Okay, this is all on our way to take this engine cover out. So yep, just done that. Need to repeat that 8 more times, and then I'll check back in with you, I guess, because yeah, until we do that, we can't take this engine cover out.
No.
Right, okay, doing the last cylinder here, just taking off these valves. Just a bit of trivia as well, these bottom cylinders here, they normally accumulate a bit of oil when the engine's shut down, so that's why you get that signature puff of smoke or quite a bit of a cloud of smoke when you first start these radial engines up. You do see that on the old B-17 Flying Fortresses as well. They've got the old 9-cylinder radials, much like this one as well. And yeah, so that's a little bit of trivia for you. But there we go, we're just taking the entire valve train off the entire engine. Just take these last 2 little base plates off for these push rods, and then know yourself. That is basically it, folks. Excellent. Alright, so now we can actually get into the engine. I'm still not convinced this is a mechanical issue, but the only reason why I'm doing this is because I can't really think of anything else that it could well be. And this is the only logical way forward from here. So let's go ahead and just take these long through bolts out. And then finally, we can crack this thing open. And then behind here, we should have all of the connecting rods, if I'm not mistaken. So we might just have to take a few of these central gears out. Oh no, there we go. Excellent, look at that. Wow, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just pulled this radial engine apart, taken the front cover off, and you can actually see that you can see all of the connecting rods, the master rod, basically all the pistons, the crankshaft, the balancer. It's all here, folks. Wow, okay. Our pilot, Georgie Boy, is not going to be happy that we've gone this far into his plane. Now, one thing that does look a bit weird is that these pistons here, at the bottom, you can see there, the pistons have actually retracted all the way out of the cylinders. That doesn't look quite right to me, but anyway, whatever it is. Let's just do a bit of diagnostic on these parts here. So we'll just take these. I've already done diagnostics on the cam gears, on the cam rings and whatnot, but yeah, look at that piston. That just does not seem like it's correct. That shouldn't have retracted that far out. That should be more like what you see over here, like this, with that little lip, I guess. But even then, that seems like a lot, but that definitely does not seem right. They could have fixed that bit of the game. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a cosmetic issue, that one. But anyway, let's get into, and let's have a little bit of a look at these rods, shall we? And just as I thought, the internal mechanical system of the engine, this cannot be it. This cannot be the problem. I'm just diagnosing all of these. And I kind of feel like a fool here because I've pretty much gone against my own reasoning just to pull the engine apart. Don't get me wrong, it is nice to see the engine like this though, all pulled apart. Right, well, what's the go from here then? I think what I'm going to do is we're just going to have to, I don't know, I'm kind of out of ideas, but I don't want to finish off. I want to finish the left engine before we even look at the right-hand engine. And I've got this sneaking suspicion that maybe, and I was saying something about the oil before, I'm just going to go ahead and check the oil, I think, because there's no other way to get behind this engine. Like I was saying a few times now, I can't get to the rear part of the engine. I can't see the about as far back as I can get is the turbocharger. But I can't get further past there, I don't think. I mean, I could probably take the cylinders off, but I'm definitely not going to go that far. And these air intake pipes, what? Maybe there's some sort of vacuum leak. Maybe that could cause hard starting. But yeah, all of the air intakes, they're all fine as well. So you know what? I think what I'm going to have to do is just, let's go ahead and just check the oil. Let's keep it simple. And I probably should have done this before, instead of taking a whole bunch of time. But I'm just going to go and check the oil because all of these air intake pipes, they're all checking out just fine. So let's do that, shall we? Right, so just getting the ladder into position here. And we've got this little oil cart. And it's handy that we can move this oil cart closer, which is good because I really doubt the hose is going to reach otherwise. All of that poor old engine just pulled apart like that. Let's go ahead and get the oil hose up into... I've gone ahead and removed that oil cap and all that kind of stuff already. So let's get the hose connected and let's see what the oil level is like. Okay, here's a moment of truth. Oh, you have to be kidding me. No way. The oil is almost empty on the engine. You cannot be serious. This cannot be the issue. Oh no. So it turns out I've just spent all that effort ripping this engine apart when I might not have needed to after all. So there it is. Occam's razor, I guess. It's really just the simplest answer is normally the answer, isn't it? Or just the simplest solution is normally the one. You don't have to go to all this effort and rip everything apart. And I did have this thought as well in the very beginning, remember? That it's not a mechanical issue as such. But anyway, just pumping the oil up here. Ooh, hang on. Oh no. I think I put a little bit too much oil in there. Oh, that's not good. And I don't know. Yeah, there's no way to drain the oil back out. That's a shame. I mean, in reality, you'd be able to siphon the oil out or something, or probably just open the oil tank and let some drain out. Or I'm sure there's a way to change out the oil in the real world. But anyway, looks like we won't be able to do that. So I've overfilled the oil a little bit. I hope that's not going to cause problems in the future. We'll just have to wait and see, won't we? We'll send George on his merry way, but not before, obviously, putting the engine back together first. So we're going to have to put this thing back together. I'm not going to make you all sit through this. So this is going to take me forever, folks, to put this thing back together because it's basically down to the basics right here. All I've really got on here is just the cylinder block and just the connecting rods and whatnot. So I've got to put all the valve train back together again, and then the crankshaft and all the drive gear and propellers and all that kind of stuff. So I will do that now, and I'll check in with you shortly. Okay, well, it's taking me quite a bit of time, unfortunately, but I'm down to the last cylinder now, and I just thought I would show off. You can see here I've worked my way around the engine and put the valve train back on, but I just thought I'd show off or just show how to actually put everything back together. For those of you who are interested, you basically just start off with this little cam follower plates, I guess you could call it. And so yeah, we'll put this on first, and this will allow us to basically finalize the valve train. So I'll put this on last, I guess. This is what I've been doing for the past 5 minutes at least. Just doing all of these bolts up on all of the cylinders, then putting all the valves back in. I've got 4 valves here per cylinder. Just working away in the sun. Just a nice old day in the sun. So now that's done, we can start putting the engine covers back on. So let's do that and get this thing all buttoned back up. And then once that's done, we can start to build up the propeller hub, the drive gear and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, hang on. I think let's do the bottom plate first. Although we probably don't need to actually, but we could probably do this last as well. That's fine. I thought these bolts would have been covered up by that plate, but I don't think so. Let me just do these up first. Yeah, okay, no, that's fine. I could have done this side plate first as well if I wanted to. That is absolutely fine. Whoops, I've ended up inside the plane again. This camera gets a little bit wonky sometimes. I must say, this game has been pretty good value considering it's on sale. It was on sale anyway recently for only $1 or $2. So if you did pick it up at that time, I think I don't know, hopefully you feel that you've made a good choice, good purchase. I think it's kind of therapeutic in a way, the game, and I know there's been copying a lot of negative feedback and reviews, but if you're in any way mechanically minded, it does have a certain kind of draw to it. And yeah, one thing I would love for them to do is just put some additional planes into it, which I know they were going to, but then the whole project got abandoned unfortunately, so it didn't quite happen. Would have loved to see some American planes, maybe like a B-17 bomber. That would have been something. It's a bit of a shame that the whole thing got abandoned and we're just stuck with these British planes. But that being said, there's a nice little selection. There's about half a dozen planes. Okay, now I'm just bringing up this clipboard because this is a good way to see if you've actually got any parts left over. You don't want any parts showing on this clipboard because if there are, you will get marked down if there's parts left over. So always make sure that clipboard is empty before you go ahead and sign off the job. Okay, in this case you can see that I've forgotten to put the oil tank back together. And so let's just quickly, the oil tank, the oil cap and all that kind of stuff, forgot to screw that back on. So I wanted to do the left engine first. You can see here our hands are clean. So we've repaired the left-hand engine. I just want to get that off the list, okay, before we even touch the right-hand engine. So let's have a look at the right-hand engine now. This should be hopefully a quick fix, and then we'll sort this out. So it says here there's a bit of a howling problem with the right-hand engine, okay. So that could mean possibly, I don't know, exhaust. It could mean maybe something even related to the bearing, engine bearings, something like that. Not too sure, but I guess we'll just have to have a look. It could even be propeller. So, but yeah, looks like the propeller's all in green here in diagnostic mode. So propeller seems to be fine, and the actual cam sleeve and the hub, that all seems to be okay as well. So in this case, I think we're gonna have to dig a little bit deeper. Exhaust pipes are fine. So yeah, it's not like it's got an exhaust issue, exhaust leak or whatever it is. Engine bottom cover, oh yeah. I was thinking maybe it's the air intake, but yeah, it can't be these covers that are like loose or something causing the howling. I don't think so. I think that's a bit of a stretch. Right, I think it's time to get this propeller off. Okay, so we'll have to go into disassembly mode, which I've done now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with the nose. No. It's time to take propeller off. Right, so let's just do that.
No.
I knew it. I knew it would happen.
No.
There you go. We're not going to go too far in. Just make sure we're in diagnostic mode to just make sure that we've checked these parts before we go any further. I'm just going to take this off again. Sorry, folks. Just quickly take this hub off. The good news is you don't have to click on every single one. You just click the mouse button down and just hover over the bolt, and then it registers, and then yeah, he basically just takes the bolts off by himself. So that's good. Not too long now, it'll be done. It's actually quite therapeutic, I think, playing this game, especially with the ambient sounds, for sure. Yep, so it's not the reduction gear or anything like that. Cam sleeve's fine, we've already checked that. Let's have a look at this bearing, I think. So get the crankshaft is fine. Cam sleeves, let's get rid of that. Front cam ring, no. Rear cam ring, no. Bearing. Hey, there it is, there it is. It's the bearing. Okay, that makes sense. So the bearing's all worn out, was causing the engine to howl. And yeah, that does make sense actually. So yeah, you know what? In some ways, I'm a little bit worried about the left-hand engine now, because maybe the oil level wasn't the issue. I'm not too sure. I guess we'll just have to send old... I've forgotten his name already. God, George? That's horrible. We'll have to send him out on the mission and just see how he goes. I guess if he doesn't manage to make it back. Okay, let's look at this inventory. For the bearing, it's not repairable, so there's no point taking it over to the workbench. Let's just come over here to the spare parts truck and order a brand new bearing, which we've just done now, and we'll bring it over and install the brand new bearing. So yes, a part of me is still thinking, maybe there's something missing with that left-hand engine. Maybe the oil level wasn't everything about it, but who knows. I'm still struggling to kind of think why low oil would cause starting issues, but that's another thing as well. Maybe increased friction with the engine. I don't know. Just don't know. You think that would cause all sorts of running issues and friction problems and low oil pressure as well, but whatever it is, we'll see what happens in just a few moments here once we put everything back together. And I'll get this propeller back on as well. There we go. Get these blades on. Yeah, that's nice and fast. He's still putting the bolts on the actual engine hub. Okay, all right. I think that's everything. Let's have a quick look at our inventory. So you can see here, hands are empty. There's no missing bolts. As long as this is empty, that means you're all good to go. If there's missing bolts, if you still got bolts in this list, you know that you've got a problem. And do not sign off on the mission, on the job, until you've put everything back, all the bolts back onto the plane, obviously. So, okay, I think we're good to go now, folks. I'm going to go ahead and just sign off. I'm not sure about this left-hand engine. Fingers crossed I don't get marked down for it. It must have just been a low oil level issue, I guess. So yeah, whatever it is, we're about to find out. Let's get the old clipboard out and sign off, and hopefully we would have completed the tasks correctly without any issue. So here we go. Repair the problem with starting left. Yes! And fix the problem with the right engine. Yes! Ooh, oil filled over max. Oh, it says parts may get damaged. Interesting. And it says there's save spare parts as well. Okay, good job. Final result there. Got some merit points as well. Okay, well that wasn't a terrible outcome, I guess. Good old George, he's got to be happy with that. I mean, both of his engines are fixed up. The left engine's got a little bit too much oil in it, but that's a completely different story, I guess. We'll see if maybe he doesn't rupture his oil tank completely and just blow the entire plane up, or lose his left engine on the next mission. Who knows? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not going to go ahead and click on continue right now. I can see I've got some merit points waiting for me there, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of leave this hanging in the breeze, and I'll see what happens in the next video, hey? And see what happens when he comes back. And yeah, if I choose to do another video on this one, should be interesting to see just what happens. So it says there parts may get damaged. I'm kind of intrigued whether there's some sort of dynamic sort of damage model if you do things wrong between missions and then the plane comes back because of a problem that you caused in the last task, in the last repair job, and that's caused the problem to come back. Not too sure, but I guess we'll find out soon. Yeah, if I do another video on this. So please like, comment, subscribe. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this one. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. And I will catch you all in the next one.